Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So today we've got a very special tarot card reading, and this is for um, well, we're just going to use the first initial E because the name is a little bit uncommon, and just for the sake of privacy and honoring that, we'll just go with the first initial E. So basically, E would like to know if this certain someone special is basically if they're marrying them, or if they're really sincere, like in their emotions, if they're really on the same page emotionally, that type of thing. So that's where we're kind of at with this reading. So let's just kind of find out kind of where things are at as far as the communication and everything goes. So for this, we're just going to do a 3-card, which is a yes or no, and it's going to give us a lot of insight in terms of just really where the emotional side of things are at, like in terms of like the thought processes, what the needs of the relationship are, that kind of thing. It's also going to give us sort of like the yes or the no, so the definitive answer, like, okay, so this is a yes or this is a no. This person does feel this way, or no, this person does not, that kind of thing. So the first card that we have is the 7 of Swords. And the 7 of Swords is about really stepping outside of everything, kind of stepping away for a momentary period of time at least, and just kind of getting to one's own self. And it's really about just kind of going it alone for a short period of time. Often when this card comes up, it's very spiritual sort of in nature, so it's sort of one that is 7 in numerology is really kind of more that spiritual, introverted kind of aspect of ourself, where we feel a sense of just a sense of like we need to do some inner searching to be able to sort some things out, to get some clarity on things, to figure some things, and that kind of thing. And that's really this card. Sometimes people call this card sort of the thief in the night, because it's sort of like the person's getting what resources they can take with them and then just, going and leaving and that. So, the next card that we have is the King of Swords. Kings are about authority. Kings are authority figures. They have power, of course, and they can wield that power authoritatively. And the sword that you see him holding, it's not just one of force per se, but it's also one of thought. So this king does deliberate some before making a decision, before moving forward and proceeding. So again, we're seeing sort of this pause happening, where there's sort of this here period of time where we're trying to figure things out. We're not exactly 100% decided, not 100% made up in as far as our judgment or our mindset is concerned in terms of what our actions will be. It's just more kind of doing our due diligence, figuring things out, making the right choice, the best decision. And obviously, many kings, of course, well, besides their birthright, they, as far as training goes and everything, they do try to get into a position of power where it's diplomatic. You have to be a little bit careful. You have to be able to understand what the other side is thinking, that kind of thing. And so that's kind of what's going on with this particular king. And then the last card that we have is one of the major arcana. This is the only one we have in this spread. And of course, the major arcana cards, they tend to be the kind of the life lesson cards. These are the ones that kind of encompass like where we're kind of at in our life, in terms of where we're kind of at in our thinking, what our needs are in a particular circumstance. And again, this can be very cyclical. It doesn't necessarily have to be just like from the beginning of your life to the end of your life. Certain cards do have sort of a personality that does reflect things that we can all sort of relate to, like an archetype almost. And these archetypes are ones that we can use examples of by, just pinpointing or pointing out different situations where we can all just sort of like generally accept or understand, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, or that sort of fits the bill. So for this one, we actually get the very first one in the Major Arcana card for this. So the very first one is the 0, and it's also the Fool card. If you look at this card is about just, you notice this person is sort of almost about to just, they're free spirit, about to go off the cliff, trusted companion, the dog is there to protect or hold them back, or at least get their attention a little bit. There's a knapsack full of all kinds of resources and different things, but we're not really focused on that. We're just sort of more going with whatever is there. Notice the sun is out. It's a nice day. There's really no danger except the unexpected danger of like jumping off the cliff, so it's the things that we bring about, not necessarily the things that, so as long as we're careful, we pay attention, we can kind of weather. Now, the nice thing about the Fool card, what is really beneficial here, it's not about being necessarily a fool, quote unquote, like a defined version of what a fool would look like, or a court gesture or something along those lines. No, this card really is more about, it's an archetype of naivety where we're sometimes naive about things. We're not always in the know. We tend to see the silver lining always, kind of a Pollyanna type mentality, but also just sort of like, we just haven't had a lot of life experiences, so we don't really know what other people are really thinking, or we can't really assess things 100% correctly because we just haven't been there. We haven't done that. So the more life experience that we get, the more understanding we get, the more wisdom that we obtain. And in this particular case, just a lack of wisdom or a lack of experience, but the energy is really positive. It's not a negative energy. This person they're not like jaded or anything from, the experiences of life or certain circumstances. No, they have a fresh set of eyes, and, they're ready and willing to go out on the journey and enjoy themselves and to find out what life has to offer them and that kind of thing. So in that kind of so the realm of possibilities is endless for this particular archetype, for this particular person. Any idea sounds like a good idea to this person, And of course, the older that we get, the more our needs change. And as our needs change and as we have different requirements, then the idea of some of these youthful kind of activities may not excite us as much as what they did way back in our youth or something, when we had that fresh set of eyes, those rose-colored glasses, that kind of thing. But for this, it's here. So if we look at kind of the question, or like kind of where we're at with everything as far as, the intention behind the question, we can kind of get just from these 3 cards, we have this kind of stepping away, kind of, taking what we can with us, but, just kind of inching our way out of the situation, just to kind of take a few steps back to kind of ponder and to understand and look at things. And then the King of Swords is sort of, we don't really want to give up our position or anything, but at the same time, because we're in a position, we do still want to take some time to make the right decisions. It's about caution and precaution and just, again, more about that pause, before we go off and make a decision. And then we have this newer energy, the Fool card. And the Fool card is just about that naivety, that, everything just sounds like a great idea. It's kind of in contrast to what the King of Swords would be, where the King is really about, let's just kind of sleep on this tonight. Let's just kind of, before we make any kind of rash decision or get out there and do anything, let's consider all the different scenarios first. Whereas with the Fool card, it's sort of about like, yeah, sure, let's just do it. Why not? Yeah. Oh, you want to go to Paris, France and get on an airplane tomorrow and go? Yeah, let's just do it. Why not? It sounds like a good idea to me. So it's sort of that, there's a contrast there. Now, all of these cards in their own right are fairly good cards. They're all fairly positive. Even the Fool. Like some people would say, well, that seems very negative, or that's just very irresponsible of the Fool to kind of be that way. That's okay. Sometimes in life we can be a little irresponsible. And the upside, or the silver lining to irresponsibility or naivety, is that, we have more willingness. We're not so critical. We're not so negative whenever an idea comes about. We can kind of play with that idea, use our imagination, and just be more accepting and more willing. And so that willingness factor is really there as far as things go. So if we go back to, if we kind of go back to this question about emotions and whether or not this particular person is mirroring you, E, or if this person is, as far as the emotions that you feel for this person, if they're really one-sided or not, it's not really one-sided. I'm not picking that up per se, but what I am kind of more picking up is that it's really one of one person is being more cautious or more reserved than the other person is. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but not that you guys don't share some of the same kind of feelings for each other. So the feelings are there, but the approach, there's two different approaches going on. One of you is, and you'll know this better than me, but one of you is more setback, taking a few steps back, trying to ponder things. And I'm picking up that's probably more you. And then the other person is more just kind of this carefree attitude, like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm down with that, sure. And that can be disheartening, especially for someone who is more, they're just more kind of, let's sleep on it, and before we make a decision, let's kind of plan things out. Let's kind of get a good foundation going on. Let's do this. Whereas the other person might just be like, okay, sure, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm down with that. However you want to do it. It may make you like even feel a little bit like anxious sometimes because you're like, well, does this person really want to go with my ideas? I mean, don't they have a mind of their own? I mean, can't they come up with something or not? So, yeah, excuse me. Pardon me for that. But so that's kind of where the energy is coming out, as far as these feelings and things. So when you have one partner that is really willing to go with the flow, and the other one that wants to maybe take a few steps back or just kind of see and assess where things are going, or maybe a little bit cautious before proceeding, you get that. This is kind of where it's going. So, but what is the end result here? Like, where do I actually intuitively sense things kind of going with this? I see things going in a pretty good way. However, I think that it will be, in the short term, I think that this will be really a positive kind of relationship for you guys. You guys, now that you can kind of have this information, you'll know more better how to approach this person. And then you'll understand kind of like where they are with things. They're just kind of like, yeah, everything is good. Anything goes. Sounds good to me. Very willing and that kind of thing. So they're kind of like, whatever you want is good enough. That can be pretty nice. So in that sense, it is sort of that mirroring. On the other hand, though, as the relationship progresses and moves forward, what you may find is that this person either really conforms more to your ideas and your opinions and your understanding, and in that way, the relationship can grow from there. Or this person may deviate, at some point. And, they may start forming their own opinions or their own wants, desires, needs. And in that way, if they happen to be, too much in contrast or too different from your ideas, and there's that lack of compromise that comes about, then it could be a situation where there's a division or a split or something at some point later on down the line. It's really hard to say at this point how that's going to go. I'm just not calibrated, really that far out into the future. I do sense, though, for the short term, when I say short term, I mean this year and maybe beyond, that things will be pretty good. And you don't have to necessarily be as cautious as you think you have to be with this person, because at this point, kind of where they're at, they're just kind of like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we can do this. Sure, go with the flow kind of thing. So And I think that's kind of what you were looking for as far as kind of where your questioning was at. Maybe not exactly what you were expecting, but that's what I'm kind of picking up intuitively, and that's kind of where I'm sensing the energies coming from. So I hope this helps you. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or anything as your tarot coach, I'm always here for you. So please reach out to me if you need anything. And as far as all of you guys watching this, thanks for tuning in. If you guys would like to help the monks, many of you guys know from watching the channel or having subscribed to the channel and stuff that, I'm a monk, and so, we take certain spiritual vows and that kind of thing. So any help that you guys want to help as far as, our mission of spreading love for God to others and, just being of service and helping, that's really the dedication of our lives. That's what we basically do. So like today, for example, mowing yards and doing weed eating and weed pulling and stuff like that for some elderly person who's unable to get out and do that kind of work anymore. So it was just something that, we did. So it was, that's kind of like where we're at with things. No money exchanged or anything like that, but just out of the love for humanity, love for God, that's what we do. If you guys would like to help and support the mission, there are so many things that we could do that we're just, because of lack of funding and stuff like that, we're just unable to do at this point. But were the funding there, we could do more. Like if we had those battery operated weed eaters, that would be very useful. I mean, we could, instead of just helping one person at a time do their yard, we could pretty quickly do multiple yards and help multiple people. So, it's little things like that. Those are things that most people never take into consideration when it comes to, how charity work really works, or how service really takes place. With the right key, you can unlock any door. And so it's just finding those keys to unlock those doors and those are really the resources that, we seek or that you could use. But if you would like to donate or help or anything, you just go to helpbydonating.com. Of course, if you need spiritual counseling or tarot coaching, or you just want to reach out to me for any reason, you can do that as well. All of the information for all of this is in the description below this video, including our office number here at the ashram, at the monastery here. So if you would like to participate or help, or you need help, please reach out. That's what we're here for. And that's what we live for. So anyways, much love, many blessings. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so that you get updated every time we come online here. Much love and many blessings. See you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge.